So today we're going to be looking at this SIG PRO model 2340. It's an old school SIG, but a lot of people for some reason or other use them. And there's newer models, so it's basically your SIG 226 or 229 with a polymer frame instead of aluminum. But a lot of people, they just don't have any respect for them, and I don't know. It's less expensive because it doesn't need the metal work for that frame, and a lot of police agencies actually use it, and for sure a bunch of people in Europe use it, like a lot of their federal police or whatever they have over there. But I have a nice holster for it, and this is how I usually carry it. So you can decock it, release the magazine. It's got a 12-round magazine, and right now I got it loaded up with Federal Hydroshock ammo. And there's no loaded chamber indicator, so you got to be pretty careful with that. But just go through it. So it's pretty basic SIG. The 2340, the rails, not that nice. The newer models have much better rails, but it has everything the SIG has. Plastic trigger, slide stop, long slide stop, decock and lever, hammer, so it goes double action, single action, and it's got these weird kind of sights, but some complaints about it. It's got a nice big trigger guard, so you can use gloved hands really easy with this. And that's about it. Oh, so this is what it comes with. You get this nice case, and usually comes with another 12-round magazine. And in this case, I keep mentioning it, but this one again, it has a serial number, and it says September 14th, 1994, and that's because this Bill Clinton decided to ban these magazines for some reason and register them, but now that's just a joke. So if you buy this older SIG, you'll get these magazines with that stupid thing on it. Just ignore it, and if they pass the assault weapons ban again, just ignore it too, because it's unconstitutional and just stupid. So what I really want to show is this. You get an extra back strap, and nowadays you see a lot of people making guns with back straps, but this is one of the first ones to do that. And I can't really do it, but all you do is you just push down in here and you drag it off, and then this kind of just slides back on. This is a fat one. It's not as textured. I like this one. It's more textured and it's slimmer profile. So taking this gun apart is pretty damn annoying. Your slide stop is also the lockup for the barrel, and it pushes out. So what you have to look for is this notch. You have to pull it back so you can push on this end, and then you'll push the slide stop out. So if we lock up, you can see it's not quite there, but if you go just a little further and it lines up, comes out, barrel's free, and it just goes forward. You don't really want to pull the trigger or anything. I always just like to kind of decock it. And if you took this apart, it would look exactly like the 226 or 229, just with plastic instead of aluminum. And so all the cams and things in here are pretty similar, but that's just how it is. Now, what's really interesting is this type of spring. You don't see that too much. Normally you get a spring that is not made of flat parts here. This is just like the Glock spring. So when it goes back, this thing coils up so it can go all the way down, And this guide rod isn't metal, it's plastic, so it's just like the Glock guide rod. But that's just a side note. This barrel, it's a pretty nice standard SIG barrel. It's really special because it can only fuse on this model. But one thing I forgot to mention about the gun, it's really convertible. So this magazine actually says, I don't know if you can see that, but it says 40 Smith & Wesson and 357 SIG. So this magazine can also take 357 SIG ammo, and it holds 9mm. It actually holds 15 rounds of 9mm, which is pretty cool. And you can buy a 357 SIG barrel, just drop it in, you're good to go. You got a brand new gun. You can buy a 9mm barrel, drop it in, put it in here, gun works. So this is actually 3 guns in one. But that's basically it. One thing I'll mention is I have these night sights for it, but the sight pusher tool for this only works for this model of SIG, and I don't want to pay the money to get it, so it kind of sucks. I'm sure you could get a punch and ride these out because they're just standard sights, but I don't want to muss the gun up, so I guess I'll have to keep these sights on. So, and this is the lock up here. When you put the gun back together, you gotta catch the barrel, but let's put it back together. So you just drop the barrel in. Oh, and one last thing is the way it locks up when it shoots. So the barrel locks in here. You can see there's a little bit of room here, but the barrel doesn't move. That's because the lockup's actually happening further up on the barrel. So when this goes forward, and you can see the wear marks on here. You see how this barrel is black here, but it's all stripped off here. That's from locking up. So you go forward, locks up, and it's pretty solid, pretty accurate, which is a good thing. But we'll continue putting it back together. So you just put the guide rod and recoil spring in the same way. It's got a nice little dent for it. And when I put this back together, I like to, put it back on the slide. And if you pull all the way back, it's a lot easier, and you just ease forward. And now you can see the barrel goes wherever it wants, but you just let this go forward a little bit so this notch lines up with the hole, and you have to make sure the barrel's there, but it usually catches it pretty easily. Let's see if it'll catch it today. We have to go a little bit more back, and I caught it, so all I have to do now is, I thought I had it. Yeah, just push and make sure that this is still lined up. So you'll hear it click, and the gun's back together. You should be able to pull this back and lock up. Just drop the magazine in, and you're good to go. And that's the SIG 2340. This is its box, some extra ammo, and it's a pretty decent gun. Really no complaints about it. It's got the warranty and everything, so try it if you come across them. You should pay about somewhere between $400 and $500 for this, and it's pretty accurate too. Just a lot of real SIG owners, they pay the money for the 226 or 229, and not just the basic one, but like the elite ones or whatever. They love those, and they really look down on the SIG pros, but it's not a bad way to go.